And welcome back to the show. You just got done hearing my interview with the band Dance with the Dead, whose brand new album Driven to Madness is available now. And if you like what you hear, and you're in North America, and you feel safe to go to a show, why not check them out on their headlining tour with Magic Sword. Coming up now, we're going to continue on with some music stuff here, and I'm going to be doing, for the first time in audio form anyways, some talks about some brand new music in the form of album reviews. Now, if you know what I normally do, I usually save everything for a top 100 at the end of the year and 40 honorable mentions. And I'm gonna try to keep going along those same lines of how I do with those reviews. I still plan on doing the top 100, 40 honorable mentions, all of that stuff. But during the show and during the week, I want to be able to show off a few albums. This time around I got 6, but sometimes it might just be 2, could be 10, could be 4, who knows. But I want to do like the short form reviews as well too. If I let myself talk too long, I can dissect every single track, and I really don't want to do that. I want you to be able to experience the music for yourself. And I hope you'll enjoy what I got for you and just hopefully just get these names out there, see if it's anything that you'd be interested in. And, there's people already in the YouTube landscape that are much better than me at what they do with this. So, I just want to be able to contribute my little part to it. And I hope you like what you hear. And the first 2 albums that I got here, I might as well talk about the bands that we just got done talking about for the last hour. And we're going to start it off going backwards with Dance of the Dead and that album Driven to Madness. Now, what's going on here, if you did not check out the interview, is this is a duo who writes everything themselves. Even if they are programming the drums, they're still writing everything themselves, but it's very synth heavy. It's very horror inspired, but it's very fun music as well too. It's the kind of music that you would hear in a horror film, but sometimes it could be the theme of the movie, sometimes it could be during a dance party, it could be during a sex scene. There's so many different ways you could go about it, but it all fits together. The riffs are so much fun to listen to. The overall songs just have like a great tempo behind them, whether they're more speedy, whether they're a little more laid back, it doesn't matter. It all has that great fun layer behind it. And of course, when you can get a duo like John and Cody Carpenter, father and son, and of course, yes, as I mentioned before, that John Carpenter, horror extraordinaire John Carpenter, a part of your album, you got a good blessing behind it. There are no vocals outside of John Carpenter's little intro in the first song, but like I mentioned before, it's kind of like a soundscape, it's kind of like a soundtrack. And you're able to experience these songs and just have fun with it. The album cover is just so killer, it just looks so perfect for what they're going for with the horror-inspired feel of the entire band. The production is just stellar compared to what they've done in the past, and I'm not saying their past stuff is bad at all. I'm just saying that they've gotten even better at production, and I can't wait to see where the band goes from here. And yes, go see them with a live drummer. Seriously, go see them with a live drummer. It'll only make the music better. And of course, that album is available directly through the band, and is available now. Next up, going to be talking about the Canadian hardcore band known as Comeback Kid with Heavy Steps. And this album seems like a little more of a callback to everything that Comeback Kid is known for. Great melodic moments, short, heavy songs, very pop influence as well too, and the right moments. It just feels like a great hardcore album. The cover feels a little ska as well. I mean, it's very colorful. It just makes you feel like a good time. Which, of course, is what ska is known for, but Comeback Kid isn't really a ska band, so just make sure you know that going into it and just not be focused by the album cover, but it is a really cool way for the band to be going in. It's a true tour de force kind of album as well too. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It feels like every song is meant to be there. It's just a fun, fast, hardcore album. And if you're into hardcore stuff, I highly recommend this one. It's an album that we really need in 2022, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do when it comes out this Friday on Nuclear Blast. Coming up next, we're going to be going in a bit of a different direction here with the band Fit for an Autopsy, in the brand new album which is available now, Oh What the Future Holds. Now, I was very shocked because I really didn't follow this band much. I knew they were in the deathcore realm, which deathcore isn't always my style. I mean, there's some bands that I am familiar with in the deathcore scene, but I usually just don't follow up on it that much as it's not really my forte. But I've always seen Fit for an Autopsy rising and rising amongst the hardcore deathcore fans. And I was just wondering, what about them really struck a chord with people, and I finally decided to give this album a chance. Not really knowing anything about it going in, I just thought it was going to be a deathcore album, and I was wrong. It's so much more than a deathcore album. Of course, there are deathcore moments on there. I mean, if they didn't have the breakdowns and they didn't have the vocal patterns of deathcore, then obviously it wouldn't be represented by deathcore now, would it? But there's more to it. And from what I understand, they've been slowly but surely showing that they are just more than a deathcore band, which is something that I truly appreciate. It makes me want to go back and check out their previous work. But with this album, you hear elements of newer bands like Gojira, and you hear elements of bands like Deftones on this album as well too, which I was not expecting at all. Like, it really has like a great kind of shoegaze post-rock feel behind it. It's very atmospheric at times as well too. Very cinematic, if you will, amongst the deathcore, which is just not something I would have expected from a band like this, a well-established name like this, to be able to show that there's so much more than just what the genre represents. And I love that so much. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you like music to be absolutely brutal, and it shows off how brutal it really is amongst more kind of laid-back moments, like the Deftones kind of elements, the more post-rocky, shoegaze moments, or if you're just looking for something with some groove behind it too, especially with the Gojira type riffs that are going on behind it. Like, this has a little bit of everything. Like, it's more than just deathcore, and I appreciate that so much. Make sure to go check out Fit for an Autopsy's new album, Oh What the Future Holds, which is available now. Continuing on with the dark music territory, we're going with the band Kulak and the band Holy Tempest. Now, Kulak has been a one-man band for quite a while now and has put out some inspiring black gaze. And that's no different here with Holy Tempest, but it does add a little bit of a new flavoring into there with some doom metal elements as well going on, which is kind of a shock to the system, but in a great way. There's some great doomy moments that are going on here amongst black gaze, and you wouldn't necessarily think it would fit on paper, but once you hear it, it fits so perfectly well. In this well-constructed album, it's amazing how much quality work Kulak puts out every single year. Last year, he put out 2 incredible albums. This one, already here in January, is just an incredible album. It'll be interesting to see what else he comes up with this year, if there is anything else. If he needs to take a break, I totally understand that. I mean, it's like 3 albums in a year time. I mean, that's incredible. But with this one, I mean, if you're looking for something that's a little bit slower, but has that great black gaze feel behind it as well too, I absolutely recommend Kulak with Holy Tempest, and of course, that album is available directly through Kulak, and it's available now. I got 2 more albums to talk about here, and the next one is one that has been run to death by everything I've ever seen on YouTube metal reviews, but it's time for me to talk about it as well too. It is the band Wilderun with the album Epigon, and if you do keep up with internet culture, you see a lot of comparisons to Opeth here. Niavla Scarce was the band before that, where they got compared to Opeth a lot. And they very much changed up their sound. And Wilderun, they have a lot of Opeth moments, but they seem to be more inspired to be able to keep that Opeth sound going on as well too, but they do something different. They add more of a cinematic soundtrack feel to what they're doing as well too. Like Epigon feels like a full-fledged movie with all the highs and the lows, the death metal elements, the folk elements. It's so much more than just a particular metal album. It feels like a great cinematic experience in audio form. These guys recently did a run with Swallow the Sun back in 2021, and it was to wide success. Putting up a lot of ground for what they're capable of, and if you like Doom, there's elements of that in Wilderun. If you like your progressive death metal, like I mentioned with Opeth, that's here as well. If you're looking for some folky moments, like if you're a Panopticon fan like I am and you appreciate what they've been doing with North American folk metal, Wilderun is a different side of North American folk metal as well. And of course, like I mentioned, a great cinematic feel behind it as well. And if you like something that's a bit adventurous in your progressive metal, I highly recommend checking out Wilderun and their new album Epigon, which is available now through Century Media. And finally, for the last album I want to be able to talk about this week, it is the band Airbalter and their brand new album, which I hope I don't butcher too much, but I probably will. Vargtimen. Is that right? I'm gonna go Vargtimen, and I'll probably be corrected later. Anyways, Airbalter is a great type of black metal and classic doom metal sounding band, also with some great Viking metal elements as well too. Like, if you take Bathory, Candlemass, and if you want a band like Enslaved without all of the prog metal elements and you just want it more straight up, that's what Erebalter is all about. It's got that great Nordic feel behind it. They, of course, talk about the Nordic gods and demons. It has that great flavoring of Viking metal. If you're looking for Candlemass moments, that's covered in Strides here. If you're looking for Bathory, that's covered. If you're just looking for the original sound of what Airbalter is all about, that's covered here as well too. It's just a great overall album, and it really took me by surprise because I had no idea they were even working on a new album. And when I just got listening to a couple songs in, my jaw just slowly started to drop over the quality that's going on here, because it really does cover a lot of ground that's been tackled so much by the black metal, Viking metal, progressive black metal territories of the Scandinavian countries, but they do it in such a way that it feels so authentic and so original, and I just love it for it. And if that sounds like something that's going to be up your territory, if you need something like that, I highly recommend checking out the brand new album from Airbalter, Vargtimen, which is available now. And that does it for the album reviews for this week. I hope you enjoy it. As I've mentioned elsewhere, I'm going to be taking this part of the show and putting it up separately on YouTube, so it might sound a little bit what's the word I'm looking for here? Convoluted, maybe? But it's all the more reason to check out the show in full, isn't it? So if you're checking this out on YouTube, please check out the full podcast version, which is also up on YouTube for the first time. But if you don't want to check out YouTube for your podcasts, of course, check out everywhere you would check out podcasts with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. Just look up Heavy Debriefings.